The Galaxy Council Chamber was built to make visitors feel small. The ceiling rose high, like a dark sky filled with cold light. The walls were covered with symbols of old powers that ruled space for thousands of years. Many species sat in curved seats, watching the humans with quiet interest and open doubt. Ambassador Hanalei stood alone at the center floor. She was calm, but her hands were tight at her sides. She had spoken in this chamber many times before. Each time, her words were polite and clear. Each time, they were ignored. Our message has not changed, Hana said in a steady voice. Earth seeks peace, but peace must be mutual. We have limited our military growth by choice. We ask the Council to stop further pressure on our borders. Soft sounds of amusement moved through the chamber. Some delegates whispered to each other. Others did not bother to hide their smiles. A tall council member leaned forward. You speak as if restraint is a gift, the voice said. Yet you offer no proof of strength. Your colonies are small. Your fleets are few. Why should the galaxy fear what it cannot see? Hannah took a slow breath. Because we know ourselves, she replied. And because history shows what humans become when pushed too far. The council member waved a limb in dismissal. History on your planet means little to the stars. The session ended soon after. No vote was taken. No action was promised. Hannah walked out knowing the truth. The warning had failed again. Not far from the council world, near the edge of human space, the colony of Grey Haven orbited a quiet star. It was not rich or powerful. It was a place for families, farmers, and engineers who wanted distance from Earth's crowded cities. Da Qingwu lived there with his sister, Era. He worked maintenance on the orbital docks. His days were simple. Fix damaged panels. Check power lines. Watch cargo ships come and go. On that day, the warning alarms came without reason. No storms, no known threats. Era ran into the room. Jin, the sky is wrong, she said. He looked at the monitor. Unknown ships had dropped out of jump space. Their hulls were dark and sharp. Weapons charged without delay. There was no message. No demand. The first strike shattered the outer ring. Explosions lit the station like broken stars. Jin felt the floor shake as emergency lights turned red. Get to the shelters, he shouted. The attackers moved with speed and purpose. Defense platforms fired back, but they were old and few. One by one, they went silent. On Earth, Admiral J. Kim was in command when the report arrived. He read the data in silence. Colony hit. Civilian target. No declaration. How many? He asked. Initial estimates are high, an officer said. Evacuation incomplete. Jay closed his eyes for a brief moment. Then he stood. Activate full response, he said. But keep the sealed systems locked. For now, human fleets moved, but slowly. Defensive lines formed. Rescue ships launched. Med teams prepared. Back at Grey Haven, Shin helped pull survivors from collapsed halls. Smoke burned his lungs. He found Era near the shelter entrance, wounded but alive. You promised they would leave us alone, she said weakly. Jin had no answer. Hours later, the attackers withdrew. They did not stay to occupy. They left behind ruins and silence. The Galaxy news channels framed it as a lesson. A reminder to Earth of its place. Ambassador Hanalei watched the footage from her quarters. Her face did not change, but her eyes hardened. She sent a single message to Earth. They chose this. Admiral J. Kim stood before the High Command Council. The room was quiet. No one interrupted him. We warned them, he said. For years. We showed restraint because we believed fear would only bring endless war. He placed a data crystal on the table. That belief ends today. Some officers shifted uneasily. Others nodded. We will respond, Jay continued. Not with rage, with clarity. They will understand what restraint truly meant. In a deep vault beneath Earth's surface, sealed systems began to wake. Power flowed into engines never shown to outsiders. Fleets hidden in dark space received new commands. On the Council world, observers noticed strange readings along human borders. Movements too precise to be random. Too calm to be panic. One delegate frowned. What is Earth doing? Another answered quietly. Preparing. Jin and Era were evacuated days later. From the window of the rescue ship, Jin watched Greyhaven fade into the dark. He felt something change inside him. Not anger, resolve. He did not know what Earth would do next. But for the first time, he believed the galaxy was about to learn a hard lesson. Earth had warned them. Now it would stop asking. The rescue ships moved in long lines toward Earth. Inside them were survivors who spoke very little. Faces were pale. Eyes were tired. Greyhaven was no longer a place. It was a memory burned into them. Jin sat beside Era in the medical bay. Her arm was in a brace. She slept under soft lights. Every few minutes, he checked her breathing. Around them, others lay silent, listening to the hum of the ship. When they reached Earth, the welcome was quiet. No music, no speeches. Only med teams and security lines. News drones floated above, recording faces and damage. Jin turned his head away. On the surface, Admiral J. Kim watched the arrival feeds. He knew every image would spread across the galaxy. Humans helping humans. No anger shown. No threat spoken. Status of sealed systems, he asked. Phase 1 complete, an officer replied. Black fleets are awake, but hidden. Command codes confirmed. Jay nodded. Good. Keep civilian traffic clear. We move when ready. Across the ocean, in a quiet research city, Mira Choi stood inside a wide control hall. Tall screens showed models of ships that were never meant to be seen. Power lines ran deep into the ground. She spoke to her team. We built these to protect, not to rule. Remember that. Every system has limits. Every strike has purpose. A young engineer asked, Will they listen now? Mira did not answer at once. They will hear us. Listening is their choice. In the Galaxy Council, the attack on Greyhaven was praised by some as a warning well delivered. Others felt uneasy. Reports showed human movement that did not match panic or weakness. Ambassador Hannah Lee returned to the chamber. This time she was not alone. A small human delegation stood behind her. Their faces were calm. We request a formal inquiry, Hannah said. A civilian colony was destroyed without cause. We ask the council to name those responsible. A council member replied, The matter is settled. Your borders were tested. You failed to defend them. Hannah's voice stayed even. Then you accept responsibility for what follows. Laughter echoed. You still speak in warnings. Hannah looked around the chamber. No, this is a notice. She turned and left without waiting for response. Hours later, the first human fleet appeared beyond known space lanes. It did not announce itself. It did not rush forward. It simply arrived, perfectly aligned, silent and vast. Commander Day Park stood on the bridge of the lead ship. His hands rested on the rail. His crew waited. Targets confirmed, an officer said. Enemy patrol group ahead. Day nodded. Disable. No pursuit. The human weapons fired. There was no bright explosion. Enemy ships went dark, drifting without power. Systems locked. Weapons cold. Within minutes, the patrol was gone without loss of life. Reports spread fast. Human ships were faster than expected. Their weapons precise. No chaos. No rage. In council space, Fear began to grow. Jin watched the news from a recovery center. Era sat beside him, awake now. She held his hand. They could have done this before, she said. Yes, Jin replied. But they chose not to. On Earth, Jae Kim addressed the world. His message was short. We are acting to protect our people. We will stop when the threat ends. Nothing more. Behind closed doors, human fleets moved deeper. Supply lines formed without strain. Hidden allies revealed themselves quietly, choosing safety over old loyalty. In one battle zone, a coalition task force tried to fight back. Human ships did not break formation. They adapted. Every move answered before it finished. A coalition commander sent a message. Request ceasefire. The reply came from Day Park. Withdraw from human space. Release prisoners. Then we talk. The request was accepted. Myra Choi watched system data scroll past. Power usage was stable. Losses were minimal. They still think this is everything, she said softly. An aide asked, Is it not? Myra shook her head. This is restraint. In the council chamber, emergency sessions replaced routine debate. Delegates argued. Some demanded force. Others urged talks. One asked, What if they do not stop? Another answered, What if they never truly started before? Hannah Lee met privately with neutral envoys. Her terms were clear. Pull back fleets. Respect borders. Acknowledge the attack as a crime. Some agreed at once. Others delayed. Then came the second human move. A strike not on ships, but on command relays. Coalition fleets lost coordination. Orders failed to arrive. Panic spread. Still, no civilian targets were hit. Jae Kim watched the map change color. Red zones faded. Send the message. He said. The message reached every major channel. We warned you. We showed patience. We are done being ignored. This ends when you choose peace. On the edge of space, Jin stood by a window again. This time, he looked at Earth below. Alive, bright. Era leaned on his shoulder. Do you think they understand now? Jin answered. They are starting to. Far beyond, in council space, silence replaced laughter. Humanity had not shouted. It had acted, and the galaxy was finally paying attention. The galaxy did not sleep after the human message. Every major power watched its borders. Fleets moved. Old enemies paused their fights to observe Earth. For the first time, humans were not reacting. They were shaping events. Commander Day Park stood on the bridge as stars stretched into lines. The fleet jumped together, not in waves, not in chaos, but as one body. Each ship knew its place. Each crew trusted the others without question. Entering contested space, an officer said. Day nodded. Maintain formation. No warnings. Ahead waited the main coalition defense line. Hundreds of ships. Heavy weapons charged. They expected brute force. They expected humans to rush. They were wrong. Human ships split smoothly, creating layers. Some vanished from sensors. Others slowed, drawing attention. Signals flooded coalition scanners, too clean to be real. Then the real strike began. Key ships lost power. Command vessels went silent. Defense grids failed one after another. The coalition fired wildly, hitting empty space. On one human ship, Captain Sun Quan watched enemy fire pass by harmlessly. His voice stayed calm. Return fire only when locked, he said. When the lock came, it was perfect. One shot. One disabled target. Across the battle zone, the line collapsed. Coalition forces tried to regroup, but human pressure never stopped. Retreat paths closed. Jump points were blocked. Panic spread. In council space, alarms rang without pause. Reports stacked faster than they could be read. They broke the defense line. One aide said, "That line has held for centuries." Another replied. A senior delegate whispered, "They were never testing Earth. Earth was testing them." On Earth, Myra Choi watched the battle data. Her face showed no joy. "They are still holding back," she said. An officer looked at her. "This is holding back?" "Yes," Myra answered. "They are teaching, not destroying." J. Kim stood beside her. "How long before the lesson ends?" "When the message reaches the right ears," Mira said. In a refugee housing center, Jin helped unload supplies. He had volunteered after Era was moved to long-term care. His body was tired, but his mind was clear. He watched a screen showing human ships moving like living things. A man beside him said, "I never knew." Jin replied, "None of us did." Era followed the news from her room. When she saw Captain Sun Quan's ship listed as holding the line, she felt a strange pride. Fear was still there, but it no longer ruled her. Back in space, a coalition commander opened a wide channel. "This is unacceptable," the voice said. "You are destabilizing the galaxy." The reply came from Day Park. "You attacked civilians." Stability ended then. The channel closed. The coalition launched its final reserve fleet. Numbers filled the dark. Missiles streaked forward. Human ships did not retreat. They tightened formation. Energy shields flared. Missiles vanished or turned aside. Human counter-fire struck engines, not hulls. Ships spun powerless. Captain Sun Quan gave a single order: "Advance." The human fleet moved forward slowly, pushing the enemy back without chasing. The message was clear. There was nowhere left to stand. In the council chamber, fear replaced pride. Delegates shouted over one another, "We must negotiate. They will demand too much. They have already won." Hannah Lee entered quietly. No one noticed until she spoke. "This ends when you stop pretending," she said. Silence fell. "You believed restraint was weakness," Hannah continued. "You believed numbers meant control. Humans learned long ago that survival comes from discipline." A delegate asked, "What do you want?" Hannah answered, "Recognition, orders, accountability." "And if we refuse?" Hannah looked around the room. "Then you will see what we still have not shown." The council did not vote that day. Instead, secret talks began. On the battlefield, human forces paused at a clear line. They did not cross into core worlds. They did not strike cities. J. Kim ordered the halt. "Hold position," he said. "Let them breathe." Some officers questioned the choice. J. answered, "Fear teaches faster when paired with mercy." Myra Choi nodded. They need to understand choice still exists. In coalition space, damaged ships drifted. Crews waited for rescue that humans allowed to pass unharmed. Messages spread among soldiers. Humans could have ended it all. They did not. That fact weighed heavier than defeat. Jin received a message from Era. She was improving. Physical therapy had begun. "They say the war may end soon," she wrote. Jin replied, "I think the fighting already did." In deep space, hidden human fleets stayed dark, silent, unused. Myra looked at their status and whispered, "Not yet." Captain Sun Quan stood on his bridge, watching the enemy retreat beyond range. His crew waited for new orders. "Stand down from combat posture," he said, "but stay ready." The crew relaxed, but not fully. Across the galaxy, the story changed. Humans were no longer described as weak or young. They were described as controlled, and that frightened everyone. Hannah Lee sent one last message to Earth Command. "They are listening now." J. Kim replied, "Then we speak carefully." Far from fleets and councils, Jin stepped outside the housing center. He looked up at the night sky. For the first time since Grey Haven, he did not feel small beneath it. Humanity had stepped forward, and the galaxy was being forced to step back. The pause in fighting felt heavier than battle. Fleets stayed in place. Weapons were powered, but silent. Every side waited for the next move. In the Council worlds, emergency meetings never stopped. Delegates who once mocked Earth now spoke in low voices. Old alliances cracked under fear. Some worlds quietly pulled their ships back. Others sent secret envoys toward human space. Hana Li received them all. She met the first group on a neutral station. The halls were plain. No flags were shown. No guards stood close. A delegate spoke first. "We seek distance from the coalition command. We did not support the colony attack." Hannah answered calmly. "Distance is not enough. Words must become actions. What do you demand?" "Withdraw forces. Share records. Accept new borders." The delegate hesitated, then nodded. More followed. On Earth, J. Kim reviewed each agreement. He approved some. He delayed others. "They must understand this is not survival through fear," he said. "It is survival through respect." Myra Choi stood beside him. "Respect only lasts if power remains clear." Jay looked at her. "Then we show power once more. Carefully." The coalition command world still refused talks. Its leaders believed humans would stop at the edge. They prepared a final defense around their core. Systems they did not expect. Single human fleet to move forward. Commander. They Park led it. The approach was slow, visible, measured. Coalition sensors tracked every move. Weapons locked. Shields raised. They stood firm. Hold course. When the fleet reached range, it did not fire. Instead, space changed. Human systems activated across the sector. Gravity wells shifted. Jump lanes bent. Coalition ships found themselves unable to move as planned. Panic spread through their lines. "This is interference beyond known limits," a coalition officer shouted. Before orders could form. Human strikes hit the command relays. Not cities. Not stations. Only the nervous system of their military. Entire fleets froze, blind and deaf. On Earth, Mira watched the data. "That should be enough." Jay nodded. "Send the terms." The terms were simple. Acknowledge the attack on Grey Haven as a crime. Dissolve the coalition command structure. Recognize Earth as an equal power. Accept binding limits enforced by shared oversight. The Council command world. Delayed for hours. During that time, human fleets held position. Rescue corridors remained open. No civilians were harmed. That restraint cut deeper than force. Captain Sun Quan watched coalition ships drift helplessly. He felt no pride. Only relief that the fight had not gone further. His crew spoke quietly among themselves. They could end it now. One said, "Yes." Another replied, "But they won already." In the refugee center, Jin listened to the updates. Era sat beside him, stronger now, walking with support. "So many worlds are backing away," she said. Jin nodded. "Fear breaks unity faster than weapons." Era looked at him. "And restraint builds something else." He smiled faintly. In the council chamber. The command world finally responded. "We accept negotiations." The message said. Hana Li closed her eyes for a brief moment. Then she stood. The final meeting took place under watchful silence. No laughter remained. Hana spoke clearly. "This war ends today, but memory will remain." A senior delegate asked, "What if future generations forget this lesson?" Hana answered, "Then humans will remind them." The accords were signed. Coalition fleets powered down under supervision. Command systems were dismantled. Borders were redrawn. Che. Kim watched the confirmation scroll in. "Stand down active fleets," he ordered. "Keep reserves hidden." Myra allowed herself a slow breath. They saw only the surface. "That is enough," Jay said. "Across the galaxy." The news spread. The war was over, but the meaning of it was still forming. Captain Sun Quan guided his ship back toward human space. His crew rested for the first time in weeks. Commander Day Park sent his final report. Objective complete. Minimal losses. Maximum compliance. Jay replied with a single line. Well done. Jin helped Era into a transport bound for a new settlement. Grey Haven would never return, but life would continue. As the ship lifted, Era looked out the window. Do you think the galaxy will change? Jin answered, it already has. Far from view, deep in silent space, the hidden fleets remained dark. Humanity had stepped back once more. But this time, everyone knew what waited behind that calm. The galaxy felt different after the Accords. Trade lanes reopened with caution. Patrols moved slower. Words were chosen with care. Earth did not celebrate. There were no parades. No victory banners. There was work. J. Kim stood in the command hall and watched the fleets return to normal routes. Many ships vanished from public sensors again, sliding back into quiet orbits and deep space shadows. Maintain readiness, he said. Lower posture, not awareness. Officers acknowledged and returned to their stations. Mira Choi walked beside him. They will test the edges. Jay nodded. They always do. Then the rules must be clear, Mira said. They are, Jay replied. And now they are enforced by memory. On the council world, the chamber had been changed. Old symbols were removed. New markers showed shared zones and agreed limits. Hanali returned once more. This time, she was greeted with silence and attention. She spoke without anger. The Accords are not a threat. They are a promise. Respect them, and peace will last. A delegate asked, and if someone breaks them? Hannah answered, then the response will be immediate and contained. Another asked, contained? Yes, Hannah said, because humans have learned control. The message was understood. Across human space, rebuilding began. Survivors from Grey Haven and other border colonies were given new homes. Resources flowed without delay. Jin worked on a construction ring above Earth. He guided cargo drones, checked seals, and trained new workers. Era walked beside him now without support. Her arm had healed. Scars remained. They offered us a place closer to the core worlds, she said. Jin smiled slightly. Too crowded. They watched the planet turn below them. Blue and alive. I used to think Earth was small, Era said. So did the galaxy. Jin replied. In a research complex, Mira oversaw the ceiling of advanced systems once more. Layers closed. Access codes shifted. An aide asked, why hide them again? Mira answered, because power shown all the time becomes normal. Power hidden becomes remembered. Elsewhere, Captain Sun Quan returned home. He walked through a quiet city street, unnoticed. He preferred it that way. His ship was already being refitted. Ready, but unseen. Commander Day Park submitted his final review. Enemy compliance remains high. No major violations. Jay approved it. Keep watching. Months passed. The galaxy adjusted. Some species began to copy human methods. Smaller fleets. Better coordination. Less waste. Others avoided human space entirely. Both reactions suited Earth. A memorial was built on Earth for Grey Haven. Names were carved in simple stone. No symbols of hatred were added. Jin and Era stood before it. We did not get justice, Era said quietly. Jin shook his head. We did. Just not revenge. They stood in silence. In the council chamber, a young delegate asked an elder, why did humans stop when they could have ruled? The elder replied, because rulers fear losing power. Humans fear losing themselves. That answer spread. Hana Lee prepared to return to Earth. Before leaving, she looked back at the chamber one last time. It no longer felt hostile. It felt careful. Her message to Earth was brief. They remember. J. Kim read it and allowed himself a small breath of relief. In deep space, the hidden fleets remained still. Systems cycled. Crews trained. No orders came. That was the point. Mira looked at the status lights and turned away. Let them sleep. On Earth, children learned new history lessons. Not about conquest. About restraint. Teachers spoke of a time when the galaxy laughed. And a time when it stopped. Jin and Aira moved into their new home near a wide sky. At night, Jin looked up and saw ships pass like quiet stars. He felt no fear, only certainty. Far across the galaxy, disputes now ended with words instead of fire. When threats were made, someone always asked the same question: do you want humans involved? The answer was almost always no. Earth did not need to speak again. The warning had been delivered. The lesson had been learned. Humanity returned to restraint. But this time, everyone knew it was a choice. And that made all the difference.